one reason why I call myself a trainer and refer to it as training, rather than saying I'm an educator and I educate, although there's nothing wrong with educators either, is that I'm not in the business of helping people know things. I'm in the business of helping people do things. In the same way as a fitness trainer gets someone to help go to the gym, gets someone to apply to the practice, gets someone to be consistently doing the thing that they mean to do, my ultimate objective in the structure that is Home Team Game Dev is getting people who knew they wanted to be doing something but weren't doing it, helping make it easier, helping reduce the barriers, helping overcome the obstacles, helping them fit a structure. One of the things that fascinates me from the space of people trying to get into games, especially when people are maybe newer to trying to help others into it, who have never tried to be a teacher, have never been responsible for someone else get results over time, is that they'll take this mentality of, we can have like a transformative class. We'll have like a one-day master class. We'll have a one-day weekend. We'll have a one-day seminar. And then assume from that it's going to change what someone's consistently, repeatedly doing. Picture some other activity you want to get good at. Playing piano. Playing tennis. Cooking. If you did it 4 weekends a year, how fast would you progress? If you wanted to get into shape. If you wanted to become an expert in a topic. If you gave yourself several 48-hour spans a year to do it, how much would you be progressing? Realistically, what I've tended to find is that what we repeatedly do partly depends on the context in which we're doing it. That doesn't warp or change in one weekend. Now, you might learn useful information in that time. You might even be able to take some of those tips back to, if you're already doing it, to do it a little bit better. But if your challenge is you're not doing it, well, then it's very hard for a single event, for one talk, for one session, for one thing to really transform what somebody's doing, unless at best it plants that seed of showing them that progress that they can build on. But even that's a very different angle than most of these kind of informational topic sessions or group discussions go. When we talk about building up these habits, one way, granted pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, that people would make these habits for themselves is they would put themselves in a situation where they'd be surrounded by other people doing it. Right? You exercise because you put yourself in the gym. Everyone else is around there lifting weights and running on the treadmills. What are you going to do? You're already in your workout clothes. You're going to work out. People want to learn a subject. They put themselves in a school, in a classroom. They're surrounded by other people who are also studying biology, mechanical engineering, creative writing. Whatever they're there to do, surrounded by people who are studying it, that's what you're going to do. You get the idea. No matter what it is, it's when we put ourselves around others who are doing it. And that, of course, is what we've built in Home Team Game Dev. Of course, fortunately, in a way, less affected by the pandemic because we're fully virtual. Everyone's online. But between our weekly update video groups, between our Slack chats continuous throughout the week, between our Trello boards for the teams, you're surrounded in our group by other people who are actually doing it, who are building games, who are themselves part of these systems, getting contributions in the same time everybody else has into projects that add up over time and get released. And now into the over 100 games we've released from Home Team in the past 5 years. So that's a thing where, if you chart, okay, your history, how many games per year have you been working on that you've got released behind your portfolio to speak to, where you've solved a real problem in a real game that's released? How many of those games are there? And this is where, if we look at our members in Home Team who've been game changers, which is one of our metrics for basically saying that they're involved at least 2 out of every 3 weeks, which I might say essentially amounts to they're participating in our system. They are using our framework. They are making use of our services and our resources as members. They've actually, and this has been consistent, each been credited on about 12 released games every single year. Now, that number varies by the individual. Some of these people go deep on fewer games. Some of them maybe, despite having done a lot and been involved a lot, they've only actually worked on 6 games, but in major, major roles, leading the whole project or taking on a whole chunk of networking functionality, for example. In other cases, it's someone who they've worked on a whole bunch of projects in small ways. And that's where, like in the other video today, I talked about credit. It's important to us that the credits are very specific. It's not misrepresenting what they've done, but the numbers vary, but it does come out to be about a dozen. They have no more time than anybody else. Most of our members have full-time jobs and or raising kids and or full-time students and other obligations, contract work, and things that they juggle to make it so what time they have can be productively and constructively and efficiently slotted into something that's going to come together and get released. And keep in mind, even though here we're talking numerically because we're talking across a population of people who are doing projects together through an approach, and that's kind of our data for showing that this gets results for people, it's also something that it's not just about those numbers. It's not about I've worked on 5, I've worked on 10, I've worked on 20, worked on 30 games. Each one of those is a concrete story that someone can speak to in an interview. Each one of those is a concrete example of something that they are credited in, that they can show in a portfolio. Each one of those is a chance where they have tried something to see if they like doing it, to see how it came out, to learn from the hindsight of thinking back on that time I've solved that for a real project that came together and got released. And that's so much more than just the number, right? The numbers when we zoom out are how we can say, yes, consistently this is working for people. But it is any given case we might explore. There's a story being carved into a portfolio, into a lifetime, into a creative expression of who someone is and what they're capable of, continuously expanding what they can do. And it comes from each one of those cases where someone is taking what, again, minimal time they have, hour or two here or there is sometimes what members have. But we help make it so they can very easily find a way to match that up to a task in a current project in a way that's building up to something far bigger, far grander, between a 6 month and 6 weeks scale of project, far bigger than we would have done alone or in a jam. We've gone through the system of working on games consistently year round, so they're constantly making improvement, which again, that's how you would get better at swimming, that's how you would get better at tennis, that's how you get better at cooking, that's how you get better at any given field. Participating in Home Team can help you reach that level. We've got the systems, the structures, the framework, the information, the training, the support, the one-on-one calls if you get stuck. And this is very much, again, think about, look what a trainer does in a fitness gym. That's kind of what I do in terms of someone has questions about, am I going about this the right way? Someone feels blocked by, I'm not sure how to get started. Someone feels like they're running up against a limit. We've got a whole community of people, a whole group of trainers, other people who help them get through that, get over that, to keep doing it consistently, year-round, in a way that works in balance with the rest of our obligations that we have going on in life. So if you want to take part in the system, of course, it's always open to apply. HomeTeamGameDev.com is the time to do it. And I will say, leading up into next year, there's a chance, I don't get too far ahead of ourselves here, but there's a chance we might actually be starting our third group around the first quarter of next year. Now would be a great time to apply to get in on that. You'll see on the spot when you apply, there's an option for, do you want to be part of our traditional older group? That's Apollo, has been around for 5 years, or Outpost, which it refers to there as being the, newer group from the ground floor, which is still true. That group's only been around for a year, but it is a year into it. It has a lot of momentum, has a lot of projects and leads already going. We are looking at the possibility going into 2021 of starting up a third community. If you check that box for Outpost saying interested in ground floor of a group, we might be looking at, depending on each given person's application, fitting some of those folks into our new group, which is also nice because it might shorten the wait time for getting into it, because it's going to open up more positions, more projects, more ways to participate with our same resources, our same support, our same structures, still meetings with me up to every other week while you're not leading, and up to every week while you're leading a project. How do we grow at what we mean to do? How do we improve what we mean to do? How do we build up an internal identity that lasts and that we see our progress on, and isn't just sort of like, well, a few times I've done that. That's a thing that I've done. I've gone bowling. I have done a painting. I have danced. Likewise for writing, for so many other fields, might say, well, I'm a writer. Or what have you written? What are you writing right now? What have you released? We try to help cure that from the game development community. So anyway, you can apply today at HomeTeamGameDev.com. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to not only building games, but building habits for a lifetime of building games.